What's up, guys? May 19th, 2021. Joe here. Just going to do a little bit of a preview with both the Lakers series and Golden State in the playing game, and then also Memphis is going to be taking on the Spurs. So right now, Memphis is a 4-point favorite against the Spurs. I really like the Spurs tonight. And then also going to the Lakers game with Golden State. Lakers 5.5-point favorites. Not too sure about the spread, but I think that the Lakers are going to win this matchup. What I'm going to get into first, I don't want to spend too much time. I'm going to do just under 10 minutes. Quickly go through these games. I'm going to get together with Igor and hopefully Lamar on the weekend and do a bit of playoff preview for these series that are about to start off on Saturday. Funny enough, Lamar just actually messaged in our little group chat that we have here talking about the Lakers and the Clippers record when Paul George and Kawhi are in there. We're going to get to that stuff, like I said, on the weekend. But for right now, Ja Morant and Memphis hosting in the early game. I kind of forecasted this earlier in his career, which would have been last year, and I don't want to kind of jump to conclusions here because I've seen this even with guys on the Raptors like OG. Guys that are young coming into the league, and you don't see any 4-year starters in college anymore, 4-year senior guys coming out with polished games, let's call it. Guys are coming in at 19 years old, and they grow. Their game grows as their careers progress, and that's totally fine. Now, clearly, Ja Morant needs to work on his three-point shot. And we've seen teams now throughout this season, and especially a lot more recently, kind of sag off him and not even really guard him. Almost give him the Draymond Green treatment. That's because he can't shoot. That might be detrimental today going against a team like the Spurs, who have rested guys going into these games. Like DeRozan's, sat out sometime. DeJounte Murray has sat out. Sure, they have some veterans there also with Rudy Gay and a lot of young guys. I think that those fresh legs are really going to help them tonight. And I do have the Spurs going on. So getting back to finish off the Ja Morant thing, he's got a lot of work to do. He passes the eye test for sure. Athletic guy, can get up and down, great in transition, great with the vision. Athletically, we know he's a 10 out of 10. But to take his game to that next level, if he wants to be an all-star and if he wants to be mentioned with the grades at least of his era, he's going to need to work on that three-point shot. I don't want to say that I've sold all stock in him because I do think that he's going to put in the work and get there. That being said, like I said, I do like the Spurs tonight. Now, moving on to Golden State and the Lakers. Now, at the beginning of the season, people kind of have short memories. Klay went down, and people had already written off the Warriors. The Warriors had made some panic trades when Klay went down. They brought in Wiggins last year. They brought in Oubre this season, and people are kind of saying, okay, what can we do to replace Klay? Well, you're not going to replace Klay, but what can we do to kind of minimize that gap that we would do at least offensively? So you bring in Oubre, who's had flashes of shooting the three okay. And as we see it now, when you go higher in the pecking order and defenses are trying to stop you, those numbers don't always translate. It's been an understatement to say he hasn't been great. He's also injured now. Now, Wiggins defensively has really taken that next step. As a third guy on their team, he's been really good. They're going to need him to be incredible today. Now, getting back to what I saw earlier in the season, Golden State kind of stumbled out of the block, and they weren't great. Their record wasn't good, and people, if you guys want to pull up the old Bleacher Report, TSN, host of highlights, all that stuff, people kind of saying, oh, like, is this the real Steph? He doesn't have his guys, now it's his team, he's not shining. That was really dumb, as we see now as the season's gone on, because he's proved, especially the last half of the season, but even after, I don't know, the last 10, 15 games, you got to think he's getting acclimated with new teammates, guys that he hasn't played with before, seeing their tendencies. He is a point guard, although he does shoot the ball a lot. And now, and I don't want to take anything away from Steph because I love Steph. He's been incredible his entire career. He's changed the way basketball has been played around the world, not just the NBA, and really forced a lot of guys to work on their shots. And that's every height, every position. The game has become more fundamental as opposed to just being athletic guys and guys that maybe not were great shooting the ball. You can't shoot, to be honest, in today's day and age, you're not really being able to stay on the court. And now getting into this series, a lot of people are, trying to slide in their mail-in ballots saying Steph's MVP, Steph's MVP, and a lot of people say no disrespect to Jokic. There's a lot of disrespect in that statement. Now, Embiid has not been healthy, and to be honest, he's really been the only guy that's getting a legitimate vote for me if I had a ballot, just to go in there in terms of the MVP of the season. Chris Paul's been incredible. LeBron James has been incredible when he's played. There's a lot of guys. Giannis, once again, had another good year. With the Brooklyn guys, there's just too many injuries. I don't know. Harden was looking like he could have been, even though he left a bad taste everybody's mouth after the Houston fallout. There's just too many guys now that are, kind of throwing shade at Jokic. And before it was almost like it was a cool story that he was this Euro guy that was out of shape that everybody really talks about. And now it's like, okay, Murray went down. He's really taken this team another level. If he wanted to, he could do what Westbrook does and average a triple-double. And if you don't think you could, you don't really know basketball too well. He hasn't necessarily done that every game. They're acclimating new guys all the time. Gordon, they're still trying to get him going to be the third guy on this team scoring, or at least the third most important player on the team. Michael Porter Jr. has been incredible. I've talked about him before. I really love what he's done. Does this team have the same ceiling that Jamal Murray, that if Jamal Murray was playing? No. I don't think, and I think, to be honest, if Murray was playing, they could get to the finals. Why not? They almost did it last year. But without him, I just think they're going to run into too many issues just in terms of, having a guy. Jamal Murray might have been the best player in the bubble last year. And that's not an unfair assessment or a hot take. He was. He came back, obviously started this year a little bit slow, like everybody else after that condensed season last year, short off season, guys weren't great. There's been a lot of injuries. He tore his knee, and it's probably due to a lot of guys just not having that full rest. Get to that another time. So I just wanted to address that where people, and Steph should definitely be in the conversation of MVP, but to say that he is the MVP, I feel like if Embiid's name was the guy that was going to win it, there wouldn't be as much shade. But because it's Jokic, Denver, Euro, big guy, a lot of people just really disrespect him, and I think that's uncalled for. Getting to today's game. For the Lakers and Golden State, if Golden State has any shot at winning this game today, they're going to have to probably pull a Raptors game plan earlier in the season where it's let's shoot 40 or 50 threes a game. And Steph, I want to say he hit 23 attempts last game, and he hit about 12 of them. But really, that's going to be their MO for trying to win this game against the Lakers and this one game play in to determine who's the 7th seed. I see the Lakers winning this game for the simple reason of, although LeBron and AD are not 100%, we know that, I've said that multiple times. I just think that with those two guys there, I don't really know who can guard either of them. Golden State doesn't have any size whatsoever. They have Draymond and Kevon Looney is their big, but when he's out, even both of those guys undersized going against AD. Drummond's going to be there to roll into the rim. Gasol, God love him, he's getting a little bit older, but these are 3 legit 7-foot guys that can finish around the rim. Maybe not necessarily Gasol these days, but there's just too much. Golden State is just going to get bullied on the inside. They're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, and the Lakers have to be one of, not just the best rebounding teams, but one of the biggest teams in the league. And I think that in a one game like this, sure, Golden State, to be honest, Golden State's going to win this game and Curry's going to drop 50. Nobody can say that they didn't see that coming, but they're going to need they're going to need like 35 from Wiggins. And Draymond's going to have to get, I don't know, maybe like 10 points. I just think there's too many things that need to go right for Golden State to win this game, and the Lakers, just being themselves, can really just control this game and get an easy win today. If Golden State wins, I do think it's going to be a really close one. If the Lakers win, I think it might get ugly, and we've seen a lot of blowouts this season. I think that they might end up winning by 15, 20 points. By the way, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time, May 19th, that I'm kind of recording this. Just want a bit of a time lapse, just so you guys know, time lapse that this is, might be predicted going forward, but I'm going to take the Lakers in this one pretty big. I was trying to think of, like I said, how can I see this game playing out if Golden State's going to win? And there's way too much needs to go right. I just think that the Lakers are going to be really locked in defensively. I don't know. I think that Golden State's going to have a tough time scoring points today, because I think that what the Lakers are kind of do is you have to decide whether you're going to take away Steph Curry or not. And if you are going to take him away and kind of double team him every time he gets the ball, trap him like the Raptors did in the finals that one year, you might want to do that, because then you're letting other guys that are not great shooters shoot. You're going to have guys like Toscano and Jordan Poole to kind of go off, because they just, like I said before, especially with Oubre out, not that he was a great player, but you need a lot of guys to step up and score. Expecting LeBron to have a big game, although his ankles we know is not going to be good for the rest of the season. AD's finally got his legs under him, and I think that he's going to have a big game. I want to see how much Drummond plays in this game also, because it's going to really have, I guess it's going to be a little telling to see what they do with him going forward, because he hasn't fit in incredibly there. To be honest, he's a bit of a bigger Montrezl Harrell. Has his limitations defensively, but can fill up the stat sheet in terms of just rebounds and putbacks and lobs at the rim. So both those guys there, when they have both of them, they kind of get redundant. But I do want to see how many minutes are going to play them. If it does get to a bit of a blowout, I think that you might see the Lakers kind of roll in some experimental lineups going forward. So the winner of this game is going to get the 7 seed, and they would end up going against Phoenix. And then the winner of the 7-9 game, which would be Memphis and the Spurs, is going to end up playing the 8 seed to determine who's the 8 seed. I think that the Spurs are going to win today. I also think that the Spurs are going to play Golden State, who would lose this game to be the 8th seed, and I do think that the Spurs will sneak into the playoffs as the 8th seed and then go up against Utah. And then who knows? We know that Utah has had a lot of critics this season. If they lost earlier in this, I don't think they're going to lose to the Spurs. But if they did lose, I don't think anybody would be surprised, especially because we know Donovan Mitchell's not going to be 100%. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Enjoy the games tonight, guys, and I'm going to get together with Igor Friday. We'll have that show up to discuss the playoff series, which is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Take care. Have a good night.